The Chicago White Sox split a doubleheader with the Philadelphia Phillies on Tuesday. Sox lost the first game, won the second game. Lucas Giolito was outstanding in game two, and Sox pitching through a combined one hitter. Jake Berger might be seeing more playing time than originally anticipated, and that is a good thing. Berger has 4 home runs in the last 5 games. Sox go for the series win with Mike Clevinger on the hill Wednesday afternoon.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon today to get started. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The White Sox play the Phillies Wednesday afternoon. The series finale features Mike Clevinger on the hill for the Sox. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Our White Sox are 7-11 on the season, 4 games back in the AL Central. Sox split that doubleheader on Tuesday. Phillies with a top offensive team coming into the South Side. You had Zach Wheeler on the hill in Game 1 against Lance Lynn, and Game 2, Lucas Giolito versus Bailey Falter. Really, I thought the keys to the game simple. I mean, limit the walks. Sox have allowed 81 walks heading into this series against the Phillies, second most in all of baseball. We've been talking about it recently here on this podcast. You've seen it watching this game, that Orioles series. Unbelievable. That's got to stop. Stop giving free passes, especially to an offensive team like the Phillies. They will make you pay. They've got a tough lineup, even without Bryce Harper. Sox offense, you got to take advantage of runners in scoring position. You cannot, put a guy on third in the first inning with nobody out and not get that run in. If you get the bases loaded with nobody out, pile that on. Get as many runs as you possibly can. Keep the line moving. And, of course, you got to limit errors, mental mistakes, tighten up the fundamentals. I think that's what we're all saying. We're all waiting. It's coming from everybody. Just wait till we get everything going, clean everything up. Everything's clicking on all cylinders. However, all those things that I mentioned came into play in the first few innings of Game 1 of the doubleheader. In total on Tuesday, Sox pitching only issued 6 walks, which is nice. And Sox offense was a combined 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Both of those games. There were no errors, but there were some mental mistakes and some poor execution that we'll get to. Looking at this Phillies lineup, as they would come up and, arms came out of the bullpen, you got guys like Schwarber, Harper obviously not playing, but he was taking some batting practice that they talked about. He might be actually playing some first base soon for the Phillies to get his bat going. Zach Wheeler, Josh Harrison on the Philadelphia Phillies, Castellanos, Kimbrel. All these guys have it felt like they've been connected to the White Sox in one way or another. Of course, Kimbrel obviously used to throw for the Chicago White Sox, and Josh Harrison, we saw a lot of him last year. But Schwarber was always wrapped up in different rumors. Could he be coming over to the South Side? We could use his lefty bat, and obviously the big Bryce Harper stuff. during that 2018-2019 winter meetings off season. Zach Wheeler tried to get him into the South Side, and we ended up having to go with Dallas Keuchel. And Castellanos, another guy that a lot of Sox fans have wanted to get into this lineup. So interesting to see these guys. We don't see the Phillies too often. So entering Tuesday, I thought, Andrew Vaughn pretty hot. Doesn't have a home run yet, but he's been getting on base. I really like, driving the ball into the gap. I think that's going to start turning into some home runs. Berger, of course, 4 for 9 entering the doubleheader with 3 home runs during the Orioles series. Berger, of course, did stay hot on Tuesday. And Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert have been absolutely struggling. I mean, you didn't need to look up the numbers. I did, but you really didn't need to. If you've been watching the games, they have looked lost out there. So including the doubleheader, Eloy Jimenez, 3 for 19 since coming back from the IL. That was at the beginning of that Baltimore series last Friday. 3 for 19, 8 strikeouts, just a few singles and an RBI. Really nothing eventful at all. And Luis Robert, he started out hot the first couple weeks, and I still really love his defense. He makes plays out there in center field, really effortless. And he's been able to stay healthy, thankfully. But offensively, last 7 games, slashing 148, 207, 333, just 1 home run, 6 strikeouts, and 3 RBIs. So game 1 of the doubleheader, game 17 in this season, it was Wheeler against Lynn. Sox lost 7-4. First inning, Phillies had 4 hits, including a bunt, a walk, a throw from Oscar Colas that missed the cutoff man, extended things further. Lance Lynn gave up a 2-out single to Alec Boehm that scored 2. Lynn had Boehm 0-2. That drives me crazy. Phillies were up 3-0 early on. Lynn threw 35 pitches in the first inning. Bottom of the first for our Sox, absolutely nothing, which was kind of a theme throughout this doubleheader. Wheeler looked pretty sharp, only threw 13 pitches. Top of second, Lance Lynn back out there, a 2-out walk to Turner, but thankfully no further damage. Sox in the bottom of the second. I'm saying we covered here on Locked On Sox their bullpen. Let's try to get into that bullpen somehow, some way. Not much better than the White Sox bullpen, which is not saying much. So let's try to get to that. I know Sox offense, kind of middle of the pack in all of MLB. We've dropped with some of those impressive numbers that we had early on, but still, I think we could do some damage to their bullpen. That was not the case yet. Top of third, Lance Lynn with 50 pitches on his arm. You had Castellanos and Real Muto base hits, and then another walk, bases loaded, strikeout. 2 outs now, and Josh Harrison, of all people, their 9th hitter, with a bloop single to short right field, 2-run score. This all with 2 outs, 5-0 Phillies. Lynn, after 3 innings, 68 pitches, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, all singles. Okay, nothing too big, but those walks and the amount of pitches that he is throwing, absolute taxing. Philly scored 4 of their first 5 runs with 2 outs. That is an absolute problem, and that continued in game 1. Bottom of the third, here we go. Sox trailed 5-0 at this point. Sosa and Andrews with back-to-back singles to kick things off. So you got to put some runs on the board, right? Benintendi with a single. He continues to hit. Again, the power numbers aren't there, but he's getting on base. He's finding ways. Third base coach Rodriguez, interesting situation here, held Lenyn Sosa at third. It didn't cost the Sox in the end, but you got to know about Jake Cave's arm in right field there. I think Sosa could have scored. So bases loaded, nobody out. Here we go. This has been traditionally, difficult spot for our Chicago White Sox. Bases loaded, nobody out. But Luis Robert with a double and Vaughn with a base hit. So it's 5-4. Sox coming back. Still nobody out. Put the pedal to the metal. Eloy with a bloop single. 6 straight hits by our White Sox. Second and first for Grandal. He flew out to left field. Berger hit into a fielder's choice. Runners on the corners for Colas, still struggling with that breaking stuff, and they're going to continue to throw it to him until he can prove otherwise. Tapper to the mound, and that was it. Phillies bullpen was up at this point. It was good to see the Sox get to Wheeler, and being down 5 runs to put a crooked number up there. Sox with 4 runs on 6 hits. Could have been much more, though. I mean, if you were watching this, it could have been much more. They kind of left Wheeler off the hook, but it was a nice rally. Also gave Lynn some rest. Top of 4th, Lynn had a 1-2-3 inning, which was exciting. Bottom of the 4th, Benintendi with a 2-out double. Wheeler, after 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts. He was at 79 pitches. In the 5th, Lynn, his pitch count up in the upper 70s as well. It was just a 1-run game at this point, and he was able to get a couple quick outs, retired 6 straight until there was a base hit, but no harm, no foul. Bottom of the 6th, Eloy Jimenez with a very rough at bat. He has struggled. He just looks lost at the plate without a game plan. It's almost like he's guessing. Like he doesn't have a scouting report or he's not looking at it. Grandal had a 2-out double, which, he has been a pleasant surprise offensively. Thank goodness those legs are healthy. And he's been logging innings. He's been logging games. Jake Berger was beat on a high fastball. Still, Sox only trailing by 1. Top of 6, 92 pitches entering the inning. Only one 3-up, 3-down inning so far for Lance Lynn. Sox bullpen getting ready, as of course they should be. Harrison with a base hit. There we go. Lynn was at 100 pitches. Bryson Stott, their leadoff hitter, he can hit with a liner off of Jake Berger's left foot. That's ruled a hit. Berger was playing in. Phillies 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Trey Turner, big strikeout to him. Lynn's day was over at 107 pitches. So here comes the bullpen. Lambert making his 10th appearance. Schwarber strikeout. Andrews tried to get a force at second off a Castellanos slow roller, did not. So bases loaded, a 2-2 count on Marsh, and Lambert went upstairs to get Marsh on a high fastball. Lambert, he has had more good than bad, I would say, in game 1. Looked initially pretty good for him, inning over. Bottom of the 6th, Phillies go to their bullpen. Left-hand pitcher Gregory Soto, we just had no chance. We couldn't do anything off of him. Lambert's still in there in the 7th. A nice job starting the inning off with a strikeout, got a ground out, effective changeup, 2-out base hit to Jake Cave. And then Lambert, he started off hot, but then this happened. Lambert in the 7th absolutely grooved one to their 9th hitter, Josh Harrison. Of course, he jumped all over it, blasted a 2-out, 2-run home run, 7-4. At this point, Phillies with 6 2-out RBI. Harrison had 4 of them, if you can believe it. Craig Kimbrell, remember him? He comes into the game, bottom of the 7th. Robert missed something right down the middle from Kimbrell, not necessarily overpowering his stuff. Robert has definitely cooled off. It was a 1-2-3 from Kimbrell. And that was really it offensively for the White Sox. They had moments, and they just kind of went down in order, went quietly. Jake Diekman came in, allowed some traffic. But again, it was the Josh Harrison show in game 1. And Lance Lynn, too many pitches, too many walks, too many hits. Lynn's final line, 5 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, 0 home runs, which is good. Lynn's ERA right now, 7.59. He has looked rough at home. Bullpen, 2 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, a couple of walks, 6 strikeouts, and a home run. Lambert looked good until he didn't. That 2-run home run by Josh Harrison was the backbreaker. White Sox allowed the 9-hitter Josh Harrison to go 3 for 5 in game 1 with a home run and 4 RBIs. Sox offense, 4 runs, all in the 3rd inning. 8 hits, 3 doubles. 0 walks, and they struck out 13 times in game one. 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So game one, it was the second game in a row where the White Sox scored all their runs in one inning, 4 runs both times. Sox were able to get to Wheeler, which is no easy task, but could not get to a shaky Philadelphia bullpen. Lucas Giolito now has strung together 2 great outings in a row. His performance on Tuesday night against the Phillies was pretty special indeed. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So again, the White Sox playing the Phillies Wednesday afternoon, series finale. Sox haven't won a series all season long. Mike Clevinger on the hill. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. So game 2 of the doubleheader, that was game 18 altogether on the season. Sox beat the Philadelphia Phillies 3-0. Benintendi was sitting. Eloy started the game in right field. Grandal at DH and Zavala catching. Romy Gonzalez started out in left field. First inning here. This is my thought with Giolito. Outstanding outing in Minnesota last week. Can he build off of that? You know, was he able to string together another great start in a row? His slider was working early, 94 miles per hour with the fastball, got 2 quick outs. He was working fast. I know all pitchers are working fast, but there's fast within the fast, and he seemed to be handling that well. There was a walk to Schwarber, but no damage done. Bottom of the first for our White Sox, this was it, really. This was the offense. Again, 1 inning of a game that we score all of our runs. Left-handed pitcher, falter on the hill for Philadelphia. Luis Robert Jr., announcement time. He walked. He drew a leadoff walk. Eloy had an infield hit. It was really a hustle job on him, and it paid off because 2 on, 1 out for Berger, who was really quiet in game 1. Berger absolutely destroyed a ball to left field for a 3-run home run. So if Eloy Jimenez, is just kind of coasting down, maybe he doesn't get on base, but then the Sox pitching pretty much handled the Phillies, but we didn't know that early on. So Jake Berger now with his 4th home run in 5 games. Sox were up early, 3-0. That was a nice cushion for Giolito. How was he going to respond to that lead? Maybe be a little bit more aggressive, maybe too aggressive with some of his breaking stuff, or would he just go out and attack? His changeup was dancing once again early on, especially to right-handed hitters, how it kind of flutters away from them to the outside corner, elevated that fastball nicely, and then froze Phillies batter with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball to get an inning-ending strikeout. 34 pitches after 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, 0 home runs given up after 2 innings, which you have to announce that with Giolito because he's known to give those up early. Second inning for the White Sox, bottom of the second. Sox had a leadoff hitter again on, but Andrus got picked off. He was running basically on first movement with a lefty on the mound. Andrus was completely fooled on the pickoff. Again, offensively, Sox, nothing going on after the first inning. Giolito, very competitive with his fastball in the third. It had some zip on it, some late movement. Struck out the first 2 he saw in the inning on a fastball, sitting 94, 95 miles per hour with that fastball. Lengthy at bat to Bryson Stott. He can hit as their leadoff hitter. It was a 10-pitch at bat. Got away with a 81, a mile-per-hour changeup after pumping some fastballs. So mixing things up nicely. Stat flew out to left field. It's another thing you want to see with Giolito. If he's got the changeup working, which he did on Tuesday, you mix that up. Change your speeds, change your eye level, and his fastball coming in at 94, 95. He was playing around at the top of the zone, which was good to see. In the fourth, Schwarber was up, and there was a high curveball that was called a strike. Schwarber, I don't think he really appreciated it. And Steve Stone was talking about how that can change the at bat. And I love that type of broadcasting, that the detail that Stone can talk about from a pitching perspective, because now Schwarber has to be looking for that pitch. Now that pitch is all of a sudden a strike. High. I mean, that was letter high. That was borderline. And what does Giolito do? Nicely, he's mixing up now the eye level, playing around with the fact that Schwarber has to defend that high curve, and was able to get Schwarber to strike out on a low pitch, something that I don't think Schwarber might have wanted to go after. 0 hits given up through 4, but 68 pitches on Giolito's arm. That was the problem. Fifth inning, Giolito kept attacking the zone and started the inning off with another strikeout, very reminiscent of the last start in Minnesota. It really was. He looked in control, got some defensive help, which was nice. Maybe a change of pace from that Minnesota start. No hits given up through 5. He was now at the 86 pitch mark. So sixth inning, the changeup was still working for Giolito. Definitely, playing around. Changeup kind of fluttering low, in the dirt. And then there was a high changeup that he was playing around with too that was effective. He didn't get beat on it. Philly batters utilizing the timeout at this point. You get 1 timeout per at bat, and they were trying to kind of slow up Giolito's pace. Giolito then started to lose control in this inning. Hit a batter up high too, above the letters, which he did in Minnesota when he got that guy in the face. Zavala comes out to try to settle him down. And again, it's a 3-run game here. So we've seen these types of leads just completely vaporize, I guess, for the White Sox recently. So how will Giolito respond? That's what I'm wondering. Got a fielder's choice. Sox were able to get to the lead runner. You got Aaron Bummer loosening up in the bullpen, which was just my stomach sank when I saw that on TV. Falling behind hitters, Gio was laboring really at this point. He was over 100 pitches in the 6th inning. Had the dangerous lefty Bryson Stott up to bat once again, and Gio induced a 3 to 6 to 3 double play to end the inning. 7th inning, you got Giolito out of the game at this point. Kendall Graveman got the nod. A great play by Andrew Vaughn at first base to preserve the combined now no-hitter for the Sox pitching staff. Graveman with some really nice movement on his pitches, almost like he had a screwball going that started on the outside corner to a righty, then came back in to catch the corner. Greg Maddux-like, really. Phillies were turned away in the 7th. And then the 8th, Sox holding on to a combined no-hitter on the 16th anniversary of Mark Burley's no-hitter against the Rangers way back when. And now you've got Aaron Bummer in the game. And no surprise, what happens? He gives up a lead-off double. And Aaron Bummer, in my mind, is in the game because Marsh is a left-handed batter. And that's the matchup that they wanted. Although the previous inning, Steve Stone was talking about as good as Kendall Graveman was pitching, it doesn't matter if he pitches to a lefty or to a righty. Graveman looked lights out. I really wish he would have started that 8th. You got Romy Gonzalez with just an awesome catch in left field. Looked like he might have gotten a little confused on his break or where the ball was going, but really saved a run at that point. A Harrison now up. The hero from game 1 was pinch hitting. Bummer with a wild pitch. It's like, here we go again with this guy. Marsh was now at 3rd with 1 out. He struck Harrison out on a high fastball. So you get 2 away for JT Realmuto, and he's the pinch hitter. But Grifol says, I've seen enough from Aaron Bummer. Brings in Lopez for the potential 4-out save. Bummer leaves to audible boos, as he should, and Lopez fastball and sliders worked well to strand Marsh at third. Ninth, Lopez, of course, stayed in the game, pumping strikes 99 miles per hour, battling back within counts, had a full count to Trey Turner, who is a very dangerous hitter, struck him out on a 100-mile-per-hour fastball up in the zone. Game over. Giolito's final line, 6 innings, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, 0 home runs. His ERA now sits at 4.29. Last 2 starts combined, Giolito 12 innings, 1 earned run, 14 strikeouts, and 0 home runs. For me, I love the strikeouts, but that home run, that has been a problem of his over the years. Those early home runs, to see that, he seems focused. He just looks different the last 2 starts. Bullpen for game 2, Graveman and Lopez, excellent. Bummer was himself. Sox pitching only allowed 1 hit. What a performance. Sox offense, 3 runs, 3 hits, third game in a row where they scored all their runs in 1 inning. Second time in 3 games that it was the first inning. They did that on Sunday against the Orioles in the series finale. Sox offense walked 3 times. They struck out only 4 times. They were 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position in game 2. We received some injury updates on Yoan Moncada, and Jake Burger will most likely not be playing second base, but needs to be seeing consistent playing time. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Hey, really excited about our new partner and sponsor of today's episode, the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your professional baseball franchise? Well, your dream can come true. This game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Locked On White Sox listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. Download the game. Just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. So prior to Tuesday's doubleheader, Pedro Grifol, I think, was asked about it by the media. I saw Daryl Van Scoven tweet something out from the Chicago Sun-Times. Pedro Grifol did not seem too interested in Jake Burger taking reps at second base anytime soon. This is what Grifol had to say. There was also the shift when you can put 3 guys on the left, on that side of the field, and now there is no shifting. So it becomes a little harder to have those kind of experiments during the season. I believe he was also referring to the experiment with Mike Moustakas, maybe going from third base to second base. It does not seem like that is how they're going to try to get Jake Burger playing time, by going to second base. I think that is a smart call. Jake Burger does not have the range, and you need that kind of range playing second base right now. Now, regards to Moncada, this is what Grifol had to say on Moncada on the IL with back soreness. Not sure how close he is to getting back. When he does come back, I want him to be feeling good, not at 80%. There is still a lot of season left. I want him to get rid of this thing and give us his best. So not promising, obviously not a timetable. He was just on that 10-day IL. Should be coming back relatively soon if he can, if he will. But I read into that as no, we're not going to see that maybe for another couple of weeks or so. I have no idea, but I don't think it's going to happen when he has the opportunity to. So more playing time for Jake Burger. That's not necessarily a bad thing at all. We need that bat. And with Eloy Jimenez not producing in the DH spot, I don't know what to do there. Eloy Jimenez saw some time in right field. And, you know, I think I was so high on Eloy Jimenez coming into this season, had him 40 plus, 42 home runs. Man, I have not seen any of that right now. He's had a few doubles. He's been able to kind of keep the line moving here and there, but not really impressed. It's Jake Berger that right now you got to ride the hot hand and you got to keep finding playing time for this guy. He seems to be more comfortable now hitting against righties, which is a good sign. He would always be the guy you went with a lefty on the mound, but I would keep throwing him out there at this point. And with no word on Moncada, Berger could be at the hot corner for a while now. On Wednesday, it's the series finale. Mike Clevinger is 2-0 with an ERA of 2.20 and 14 strikeouts in 3 appearances this season. Last start was against Baltimore. He had a nice start, 6 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 5 walks, though, which is going to be problematic if that continues, and 5 strikeouts. Clevinger has been very consistent with his movement. He mixes it up. He elevates his fastball, nipping at the corners. He was around 95, maybe even touched 96 during his last start. So we'll see if we can keep it up. Tawan Walker is starting for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got 3 starts this year, 1-1, 14 strikeouts in 15 innings with a 4.20 ERA. His last start was against Cincinnati, where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, a couple walks, and 4 strikeouts. My hope is that Clevinger can be consistent. He can go at least 6, maybe 7. Help us out. Again, we got a day off on Thursday, so maybe Grifol wants to really exhaust the bullpen. Offense, please score in more than just 1 inning. Let's spread it out. Let's keep the line moving. Love to see a few more home runs from other guys besides Berger. Thanks so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. We're on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell your Sox friends about that. I do appreciate it. White Sox, again, play the Phillies Wednesday afternoon, series finale with Clevinger on the hill. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. And hey, everydayers, on the next episode, I will recap Clevinger's outing, and maybe, just maybe, we can celebrate a White Sox winner and a series win. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.